just want to get real with you guys for a moment because things got a bit wobbly yesterday. You won't have seen it because we, didn't take the camera out much. But essentially, everything that could go wrong went wrong, in the sense that I'm someone who likes to have everything organized and planned out. I like to know and be able to predict how things are going to work. For example, on meal planning, I had everything planned, what we're going to take out the freezer in the mornings to defrost so we could have it at night. Everything was organized. Things went wrong yesterday. Firstly, the fridge just stopped working. This is the second trip in a row where that's happened. In this temperature, everything in that freezer we're basically going to have to chuck it all out, and we're going to be eating pasta for the next few days. So that really threw me off. I was upset about that because I lost a lot of money's worth of food, and that fridge cost me a lot of money, and I don't like it when things don't work. And then just other small things like the wind came through here so strong we had to take down the awning, so we lost our shade. The dust was blowing in here, and this really fine river dust that's just settled on everything, so it was impossible to keep things clean. It was impossible to keep our bodies clean before climbing to the tent. All these things just made me feel really frustrated, so I had to just go to bed last night early and just push the reset button and wake up this morning and just try to be fresh and try to be positive. And we have, once again, a beautiful day. We have good weather. I can pop the awning back out again. We can enjoy a nice cup of coffee. We're going to stay positive and hopefully have a good day.
Today's drive will be the longest drive on the trail thus far at around 113 kilometers, so we were pretty keen to get going fairly quickly, and a pack-up commenced straight after our morning coffee. Sometimes all you need is a good night's sleep, and despite all my frustrations yesterday, I'm in very high spirits today and very excited to get on the road. Nicole? Well, Nicole is pretty much always in high spirits. She's not such a grumpy drama queen like me. Today's drive is quite interesting for a number of reasons. Firstly, we are finishing up the NAMAKWA land part of the trip, which technically ends here as we hit the N7, which is a pretty major road. Then we transition along this road to the Richtersveld part of the trail, which begins here. The Richtersveld is actually quite different in terms of landscape and vegetation to what you've seen so far, and that'll become apparent from tomorrow's drive when we take on Hell's Kloof. But for now, we're looking forward to camping on the banks of the Orange River for the very last time. The first few hours of this morning's drive will take us back up the river valley that we entered through yesterday, and as we move uphill we'll gain around 450 meters elevation over 20 kilometers. There's a little bit of rock crawling and axle twisting, which is always fun. Well, the odometer which we zeroed at the start of the NAMAKWA Eco Trail has just passed 300 kilometers, which means we are officially halfway, more or less. In terms of distance, that is. In terms of time, I think we're definitely more than halfway. But distance-wise, we're halfway. Got a long way to go still, but it's all been good so far. We've now left the Oerknoep river valley and are out onto more open ground where we can momentarily pick up some more speed. It was so interesting to see the geology change constantly as One minute we have red metamorphic rock and the next white quartz. It may be dry here, but geologically speaking, it's as rich as a rainforest.
You get to see some cool stuff along the way. This looks like it could possibly be one of those quiver trees we spoke about on an earlier day, but just a really old one that's lost a lot of its leaves. But very beautiful. It's almost like a mini baobab, hey? It's very cool. It's nice to sometimes just pull over and stop and appreciate the things around you. We'll be back on the road shortly, but there's no point doing this trip unless you're willing to just soak everything in. So it's nice to see this stuff.
Once again, the mountains close in a little bit as we enter another little river valley. These valleys provide sort of natural pathways through an otherwise impassable landscape, and the sand deposits smooth up the ride a little bit as well. Up ahead though, not so smooth. Sometimes there's no way to go but straight over. Although this section wasn't technical at all, we were basically driving on sparks. When you have layers of rock facing up like this, you've got to watch your sidewalls.
So just parallel to the road that we took from Kamchab out between the mountains up to higher altitude, there's another road called the Road to Hell. It's notorious as being one of South Africa's most difficult roads to drive. They say you should never go with one vehicle, you should never go with any less than 2 spare tires, and it basically takes a full day to do a very short section. You end up at paradise on the Orange River, but the road itself is like serious 4x4, not part of the NAMAKWA Eco Trail, but it's a road that's kind of like in the upper echelons of the 4x4 difficulty. Just a quick fun fact for you.
Once again, a complete change of scenery as it's foot on the accelerator again through flat, open desert sand. There are a maze of roads here just crisscrossing each other, and without a really good map or GPS it would be quite easy to get lost. Thankfully I had this mapped out quite well and knew to just keep driving west. All of these dusty roads lead to the N7 highway, which we need to get on to reach the Richtersveld. Close to the highway, we found a spot with just enough cell phone reception to make a call to Snowmaster to try fix the fridge. They were very helpful, but unfortunately this unit was in need of a little bit more help than I could give it. So we are stuck with a cooler box instead of a fridge for the rest of this journey. We hop onto the N7 and head towards Drift, where the main South Africa/Namibia border post is, and we are lucky enough to find somebody with ice. This goes in the fridge to keep our meat cool, and thank goodness, because it was hot. At Fuelsdrift there's a gravel road that heads towards the NAMAKWA or Hell's Kloof Nature Reserve, and we take this road, which puts us right back on the banks of the Orange River. Right across on the Namibian side you can see these strange looking mountains. Well, another testament to the insane diversity of this area is seen quite clearly on satellite images if you just take note of the colors of the sand. In one spot it's grey, another red, another orange, and even green, which I'm guessing may indicate some sort of copper deposit in the area. It's time to find camp, and with only a couple kilometers to go to the spot we're supposed to be camping, we run into a challenge as the road seems to have completely disappeared. We assume that the roads that are mapped out were just kind of washed away by floods early in the year, so we end up having to do a little bit of guesswork as we finally reach some higher ground where the road reappears. I'll be honest, I was a little bit nervous here because it didn't look as if anyone had been through here in months, and there was no way to turn around. Big boulders lined each side of the road, and let's just say my rock sliders almost got put to good use a few times.
Well, we had a campsite here in the NAMAKWA Nature Reserve that we were planning to camp at, but unfortunately it looks like there was a massive flood earlier this year that just wiped out this entire valley. I mean, literally, we paddled down here at the end of 2019 when we did our Orange River video, which is also on my channel, and it looked completely different to this. There's probably a 500 meter wide channel that's just been wiped out. It's insane. So that rules out this campsite, and the road has been washed away here as well, so we're gonna have to we have to turn around and find another spot. It's unfortunate, but that's how it goes, and it's starting to, well, not get dark yet, but it's 5:30, so in a couple hours it will be dark. We need to move on and we need to find a spot very soon. Well, campsite has been found. It's not quite what we wanted to get to, but obviously I mentioned the flood water having washed away the road and the campsite we wanted to get to. So we're going to call this campsite amper daar, which means almost there, and it's good enough for us. We're right at the water. We can move the camp chairs into the water if we want to keep our feet nice and cool, and it's a lovely place to stop. So hopefully the wind doesn't pick up, but pretty happy to get here after a very long drive. We did 105 kilometers today, so we're at the 400 kilometer mark on the NAMAKWA Eco Trail, and only 200 kilometers to go. Cheers, love.
Cheers.
The awning that we're using is fantastic. The one weakness is just that there's so much leverage with these long arms that if the wind picks up, it can snap the joint where it joins onto the vehicle. So it's got one of these arms and all these tied on points, but I actually need to get a few more of these arms and put them on each section just to strengthen it a bit more. But in the meantime, I'm finding the InReach Mini is really helpful. I got it as a safety backup so that I can send an SOS signal or contact people if there's an emergency, but it's also got a weather function where you can actually get a weather report for your location. So I've just done that now, and it's telling me that the wind is going to die down tonight, so fingers crossed that's correct. We can leave the awning out. I guess there's no point having the awning really if the sun's down, but I must say it's nice to have. Just it shelters you if there is a slight breeze. It just keeps this whole area quiet, makes it nice and cozy. And if I can leave it overnight, then in the morning it's already set up, we don't have to do it again. So hopefully InReach Mini's forecast is spot on and we can leave the awning out.
Everyone has their moments of reflection, and mine are always around the fire, as I think back to what has been another amazing day of exploring this beautiful part of the world.
Pork neck rashers, or pork neck steaks rather. Ooh. Get some of that sauce on them. Ooh. Honey and mustard sauce. Mr. Krabs.
The day's not quite over yet though, as we have some delicious meat saved by a bag of ice early in the day, and we're not holding back on the food tonight. As is often the case on this channel, we bid you good night with visuals of delicious food that is going to make it difficult for us to climb up the ladder to our tent in a few minutes. Stay tuned, we're in for another fantastic day tomorrow.